Hello. Today we're going to talk about an expression in English, would you mind? If you would like to have a worksheet to do while you listen to this lecture, click on the link in the description below this video, and that will take you to the worksheet. You can print it out and fill it out while you're listening to the lecture. So, would you mind is an expression. Let's look at this example. Notice the TV here. Would you mind changing the channel? And would you mind if I changed the channel? Do you see the differences between these two sentences? And do these two sentences have different meanings? Let's look at that. First, before we go on any further, let's talk about would you mind and what it means. Would you mind? Mind means, is it a problem for you? Or would it bother you? Okay? So here, would you mind changing the channel? You're saying, would it bother you? Is it a problem for you to change the channel? And would you mind if I changed the channel? Is it a problem? Now, with those two patterns of would you mind, let's look at the difference in meaning between the two. So here, would you mind changing the channel? What I want is I want you to change the channel. I don't want to do it. I want the other person to do it. So this we would see as a polite request. Would you mind changing the channel? So for polite requests, we would use would you mind plus the verb and ing. Would you mind changing? Let's look at some examples. Here. Would you mind not smoking? I want this person to not smoke. Another example. Here. Would you mind cleaning your room? I do not want to clean this room. It's a polite request, clean your room. Would you mind cleaning your room? Would you mind getting me a drink? Okay, so I said there's two patterns of would you mind. We looked at would you mind verbing for a polite request. So would you mind not smoking? Or would you mind changing the channel where I want the other person to do it? Now we're going to look at the second pattern with would you mind. Would you mind if I change the channel? In this situation, I want to change the channel, but I want permission. I want you to say it's okay for me to do that. So to get permission, we use would you mind if I plus the past tense form of the verb. Would you mind if I changed the channel, the ed form of the verb? Let's look at some examples. You're at a friend's house. It's cold inside the house. You may say, would you mind if I turned up the heat to make it a little bit warmer? Another example. Your friend has this excellent car. You could say, would you mind if I borrowed your car and drove it around? Your friend has ordered a giant plate of French fries. Would you mind if I had some of your French fries? Okay, so remember, we have two patterns. Would you mind plus verbing, and would you mind if I verbed, verb plus ed. Here you see I have an open window. You're at a friend's house. You want to close the window. Which one do you use? If I'm at a friend's house and I want to close the window, I would say, would you mind if I closed the window? If I'm at a friend's house and I want my friend to close the window, I have a request that I want him to close the window, I would say, would you mind closing the window? Okay. So as far as the patterns go, we have, would you mind closing the window? I want you to close the window. That's a polite request. And would you mind if I closed the window? I want to close the window. And I'm asking, is it a problem for you? And I want to get your permission to do this. Now we're going to talk about the really confusing part about would you mind, and that's how you answer it. This is very confusing for people learning English. The good news is it's also confusing for native speakers of English sometimes. Remember, would you mind means, is it a problem? So, if someone says, would you mind changing the channel? What's the correct answer? If you say yes, what are you saying? If you say yes, you're saying, yes, I mind. It's a problem. I don't want to change the channel. So I want to watch this show. So if you reply yes, which is the natural thing to reply, if you want to do something, it actually has the opposite meaning. So, would you mind changing the channel? And if I'm saying, it's no problem, I'll change the channel, the correct answer would be, no, I don't mind. It's no problem. So, would you mind changing the channel? Yes, I mind. It's a problem. I want to watch this show. If I say no, I'm saying I don't mind. We can watch something else. Let's look at this example. Would you mind watching my child? If I say yes, what do I mean? If I say no, what do I mean? If I say yes, am I going to watch the child? If I say no, am I going to watch the child? Would you mind watching my child? Yes, I am too busy to watch your child. No, I would love to watch your child. I don't mind. It's no problem. So, a quick review. We've talked about two patterns with would you mind. Would you mind plus verb ing, which gives us a request. And we have would you mind if I verbed, or if I plus the past tense form of the verb, and that's when we're asking for permission. I also talked about answering these questions, which is confusing. Because if someone says, would you mind, and you say yes, you're saying, yes, I mind. It's a problem. And if you say no, you're saying, I don't mind. It's no problem. So the answer is opposite to what naturally you want to say. The good news is that it's confusing for everyone. So usually when there's a would you mind question and someone says yes, they'll also explain. So if someone says, would you mind watching my child? A person would say, yes, I would mind because I'm too busy. Or no, I don't mind, it's no problem, I can do it. They usually explain afterwards because the yes and no part usually is a little confusing. I hope this helps out with this expression, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.